finishing up a 21st Century Foundation meeting. It being the hour of 7 o'clock, I'm calling the monthly meeting of the Westwood Library Board of Trustees to order. We have a quorum. Tonight we are being, Westwood Media is broadcasting this meeting for the purposes of public attendance, and we appreciate their continued support and help during the pandemic as we do these meetings. The first item I have on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 10th, 2021 meeting. Is there has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Are there any additions, amendments, deletions, revisions? Hearing none, the chair will accept the motion to approve the minutes of the May 10th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Made by Trustee Masi-Phelps, seconded by Trustee Van Au. I'll call the roll. Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Van Au.
Aye.
Trustee Persons.
Aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Aye.
And I don't know if Trustee Ryan is with us yet. Is
Yep,
she?
looks like she is.
Oh, Trustee Ryan.
She's muted.
Oh.
We need
Maria,
that hat, Mary. We need those hats.
yeah.
And
Maria, if you look in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, there should be a microphone that you can click to unmute. You're muted right now.
Am I muted now?
Yep, you're good.
there, Trustee
Thank you.
Ryan, are you voting in favor of adopting the minutes?
I am. Aye.
So Trustee Ryan votes aye, as does the chair, approved unanimously. The next item is a holiday schedule, and I asked Chris and Joan to be part of this meeting because there's been, we need to clarify an issue that's come up. In the past, at the request of the library director, the library trustees have declared holidays, and it is not clear based on discussions with the town council and a review of the bylaw provisions and the town charter that that is within our power so to do. And so our acting that to declare a holiday for the first stand of time, Juneteenth, was being celebrated in Massachusetts. Has caused some issues because it's inconsistent with the town's policy on holidays, and it would result in a situation where some town employees that work for the library would have a holiday that other town employees don't have. And so I asked Chris and Joan to join us and just sort of explain the town policy and then sort of give us a guidance on how to in the future so we don't fall into the same situation. Chris?
Well, thank you for having us this evening. And just to let you know, per what happened at the State House this evening or this afternoon, you may be one of our last virtual meetings until we get some relief from the Commonwealth. So enjoy your virtual meeting.
Just under the wire.
Yes.
Great planning on your part, Lizzie. Congratulations for that. Yeah, so as far as the holidays, so there has been some confusion, not just in Westwood, but throughout the Commonwealth, that when the governor declared June 19th as a holiday, that it automatically became a holiday for all local governments in Massachusetts and even all state agencies. And that's not the case. So although the governor did declare it as a state holiday, it's still something that has to go through our local process. We have collective bargaining agreements. We also need to get the approval from the personnel board as well as the board, as well as the select board. And as of for 2021, there is no official holiday in Westwood on June 19th.
Oh.
So I just wanted to make that clear for everyone. As far as declaring holidays, like I said, there was a process that we would go through, and Joan can certainly speak in greater detail of that, but it would be something that we would go through through the personnel board. That would also include the select board as well, and that would be something that would be applied to all town employees on the general government side. And Joan, did you want to get into a little more detail on that?
I'm happy to, although actually I was on the agenda for talking about COVID, not about this particular issue, but I'm happy to. So our personnel policies, the way they're currently written, is that a holiday that that the town of Westwood will follow the state holiday schedule. And what the state says is if a holiday falls on a Sunday, it is celebrated on the following Monday. If a holiday falls on a Saturday, it is celebrated on Saturday. So There are sometimes some towns who have a that have a clause in their policies that say if a holiday falls on a Saturday, the town will celebrate it on Friday. So those are the kinds of discussions that we need to have with the personnel board and with the board of selectmen. And for this year, where it did fall on a Saturday, we decided to, we're going to live by the personnel policies, which is to say that it's celebrated on Saturday. And for most people that, so it is not officially a holiday in the town of Westwood at this time. So we will be going through a process of, discussion and, clearance with the select board and the personnel board. So that's Chris, you can fill in if I've left anything out.
And I apologize to everybody and to the staff for any confusion this caused. But town council and to town administrators advised me that we don't have the authority to declare holidays. It's not in the charter, and it would put us in a position of inconsistency. Yes, Trustee Persons, did you want to say something?
Yes, so looking at our holiday schedule, our general holiday schedule for the library, how does that impact any of the other holidays? Are generally all of those otherwise aligned with the town and the state? I'm not sure. I don't know the town's holiday schedule.
So right now, our personnel policies speak to, I'm trying to think of the exact number, a set number of holidays, 10 or 11.
I believe there's 11.
11.
Yeah.
So adding another holiday would require a change in the personnel policies if we just add it, as a 12th holiday. But to Chris's point, there's collective bargaining issues that need to be resolved. It's a little bit too complicated for us to have just decided on our own this year. So we're going to make it, we'll know for next year what our policy is. We will have some clarity.
Does it matter that the library personnel are not included in the collective bargaining? I mean, they're non-union, they've always been separate.
Right, but they're including the personnel policies.
Okay.
And so the personnel policies, just Ms. Persons, just so that you know, it includes New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Patriots Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Those are the official town observed holidays.
So so for things like Christmas and 4th of July, I mean, those sometimes fall on Saturday. Does the town have a policy for that, or do we just have that discussion every time one of those falls on a Saturday?
We actually had that discussion last year for July 4th with the personnel board. And Joe, if you want to get into the details, and that was something that we did observe on the Friday. This year, July 4th is on a Sunday. So as the policy is written, we observe it just like the Commonwealth, and that will be observed on the Monday. So the Monday will be the day off.
So what I think I'm hearing is that the town has not decided whether to make Juneteenth the holiday.
Correct. We haven't even had that discussion with the personnel board officially, nor have we had that conversation with the select board officially as of yet.
And if it did become a town sanctioned holiday, we would follow whatever procedure the personnel policies were as to what day that holiday would be celebrated.
Correct.
Yes.
I believe.
Any further discussion? We just simply don't have the authority to declare holidays. So, lesson learned, right? Okay. Thank you, Chris.
No problem. And just to be clear, and I think there's a lot of confusion throughout the Commonwealth because there are many organizations who presume because the governor declared a holiday, it was automatically a holiday for everyone else. So we are like many others. So
Yeah.
take it any other way than that.
Yeah. No, I understand. Really appreciate you folks coming here. I guess, I mean, it was signed into law last July. So I guess my question is when will those conversations happen?
Well, conversations will happen as we get closer in the middle with negotiations. So we have already begun our negotiations with our collective bargaining groups, and we will have conversations with the select board, and we'll have conversations with the personnel board throughout those negotiation processes.
When do we normally set the holiday schedule? Is that like in November?
Well,
I think it's usually in November.
W-
Sorry, I think usually in the past it's at the November meeting, so
Yeah,
starting in January.
I'm assuming that Tricia obviously always started with the town holiday schedule to begin with.
Yeah, I think,
don't know.
you know, and I don't know, I kind of assume that what happened is that, you know, Tricia may have assumed that since it was a state holiday, you know, again, there was confusion about what that meant.
Mhm.
And I think she very reasonably assumed, you know, oh, it's a state holiday, so, you know, so
Yeah.
no throwing anyone under the bus here, like, you know.
No, we're
there's been
not.
a
No, no,
lot of
we,
con-
No,
Of course,
no.
right, but there's been a lot of confusion, and there's some, you know, towns are like, you know.
I mean,
there's
I
many
just want to
different
bring you
options.
back to, if I could, I just want to bring you back to the time when the governor did declare that. There was a lot of things that the governor was declaring in regards to COVID, and we all had to follow them. And so this could have been just one of those things that many people assumed, just like when he was given a directive regarding COVID. So there was a lot of things that he was saying that automatically went to all municipalities and all agencies within the Commonwealth. And this was right in that time frame. So certainly an understanding where some of the confusion may have lied.
oh, I think it was an honest.
Totally.
I
yeah.
don't think there was any intent on anyone's part. I just think it
Right.
was just a misunderstanding. That's all.
Even I know even at the state level, they didn't decide until 10 days or so ago to tell people they could have the Friday or the Monday. So,
Mhm.
so I know where it's coming from, but we appreciate you bringing this to our attention, and certainly we don't want to have a situation where you know, some town employees have a day off and others don't.
Just to be
We're all
clear,
subject to the personnel policy.
yes. And just to be clear, there will be some communities around us that are observing June 19th in 2021, and you'll also see some communities around us that are not observing in 2021. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to that. But
It's a
we
word.
would certainly suggest that people observe it. We are looking to put some educational information on the website so people can understand it a little bit more. Joan and I are working with some other communities throughout the Commonwealth, and they have been nice enough to share some of their links to some of their virtual, some of the virtual educational material, and also some of the virtual ceremonies that they're going to be hosting.
And the Abby and Suzie did a really great display all throughout the library, and also make a LibGuide. So there's lots of information.
Yeah.
Thank you for that as well. I guess my question was, so is the town, if the town can't officially recognize it, I mean, is it at least even in the sense where are we recognizing it in the way that we're sharing information about it? Or is it, I don't know what that means, that it's not official holiday, I guess.
It's not a day where town offices would be closed.
Okay, so it's more of like the HR side of it rather than like,
But we are observing the
Right.
occasion.
yeah,
Yeah, but town offices would not normally be open on a Saturday, if I'm correct.
Right, but like as we discussed what happened on July 4th last year, we went to the personnel board, and then it was observed on that Friday, the Friday before. And there's a lot of things with this law that are coming to light that wasn't very clear at the very beginning when the governor first made this announcement. So there are some things that we may have to do regarding June 19th going forward, but it's not a requirement for 2021.
Any further?
Yeah. Right.
Mary, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I very much appreciate your coming and, you know, explaining that. I think given the nature of the holiday being about, you know, equality, that, you know, it's, I think the tone of what the town, you know, does and says is very important on this, and, you know, certainly reflects on our, so, you know, we want to show that, I think we want to show that we're in support of the holiday. Completely understand that, you know, it implementing it sounds like it is still requires some conversation, but I guess I want to make sure that there's that follow through, and that a holiday about equality is, you know, given you know, equal weight in consideration.
I totally agree.
Well said, Mary.
Yeah.
Very
It's
well
been
said.
out there for almost a year now, so.
Yeah.
And I totally get the challenges and it's just not practical, but,
Yeah.
you know, we need to see this through.
Yeah, certainly food for thought.
Yeah.
For the future, for sure.
It's
Great.
it's celebrating the 2 years that it took for word to
Yeah.
get this local in Texas.
It's all about communication, right?
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Susie and Abby, for doing the
Yes, thanks.
display.
Yeah. I've already borrowed
That's great.
books from it.
Oh, yeah, that's
Thank
wonderful.
Any further discussion or questions? Thank you, Chris, for taking the time, and thank you for working with myself and Lizzie to try to resolve this situation. And please, as Mary said, please do, work as you move forward on the Juneteenth. Please keep us in the loop so we know in the
Oh,
future.
certainly. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Have a
Yeah,
good
thank you,
evening.
Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Good evening. Thank you.
The next item on the
Paul,
agenda.
Paul, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I have a question. I
Yes.
just need to go back to the approval of the minutes. We
Yeah.
approved the minutes for May 10th. We want to approve the minutes for May 20th, or were we
No, we can
agreeing
do
to
that at
accept
this meeting.
both
if-
dates?
As long as they were posted and forwarded to the members, I believe. Has everybody had the May 20th minutes?
Hang on.
Those are great. Those are great minutes, guys. My favorite. I enjoyed rereading it.
Where are the, I didn't see those other minutes.
They came late last night.
I saw, those are the May 10th minutes.
Yes,
And May 20th.
I think I sent out
they,
Saturday.
they were, yeah.
Oh, hang on. Oh, they got buried in the thread. I'll look
Yeah.
at it. What
I apologize.
did we do at that meeting?
It's all a blur.
Nothing important. Kidding. I'll read it now.
I think even the chat comments were included.
Yes, public comment was included, which was very
Yeah.
well done, Secretary.
Yeah.
It's all about the
it was.
screenshot. It's all about the screenshot.
Yeah, that was a nice.
Has everybody had an opportunity to,
Yes.
are there any amendments, deletions, revisions? Seeing none, the chair will accept the motion to also approve the minutes of the May 20th meeting,
Make a motion?
made by
Second
trustee
motion.
Canale, seconded by trustee Persons. Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Van Au,
Aye.
trustee Persons, trustee
Aye.
Masi-Phelps,
Hi.
trustee Ryan.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and once again, thank you to trustee Cole. The minutes taking, as I do it for the 21st Century Foundation, is an underappreciated job, and we thank you for your diligence and your thoroughness in doing so, trustee
My
Cole.
pleasure, my pleasure.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the director's report, which is traditionally accepted as submitted, but we do always afford the director an opportunity to highlight some aspects of the report. So, Madam Director,
I'm
floor is yours.
happy to say we have a rented chiller. So the library is very cool. And I've seen a lot of happy staff and happy patrons using the library, studying upstairs. They're not drenching in sweat now, so that's great. It's actually a little too cold, but I won't complain. No, but the town and the facilities did work really as fast as possible, getting us, a solution so that we can, just the first week of reopening, we could actually be open comfortably. So curbside pickup is still available, limited basis. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays all day. So 10 to 7 as it was. We toyed with doing just the morning and afternoon, but it's still pretty popular. It has slowed down some, but it's an option that a lot of families still like and a lot of patrons. So we're going to keep an eye on that, but Karen has switched that around. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And story time outside has been really successful. We started with 12 families. I think we've upped it to 16 and they're still awaiting this. So we're hoping that it's just the size of the lawn on the side isn't conducive to a larger crowd because of as close we are to the parking lot, close we are to 109. So we kind of have to maintain a registration at least for the summer. And, but hopefully we will be restoring the library to its beautiful glory of moving our furniture back out and opening up the meeting room so that we can do indoor programming. I think we're planning for the fall for that, just to give us the summer to, figure out where we want to put things inside the library. But, we're getting a lot of requests for programs again. And so it's nice to see people come back in and jump right back into what they expect out of summer in the library. So that's summer reading. I'll let Suzie probably talk to you a little bit about what their plans are for summer reading in the department, but the children's department, Christy, Caitlin Moore, Karen Kagan, Felicia, they all visited virtually the elementary schools and visited every class that was represented in all the different schools, which took some maneuvering this year. We had to reach out to the principals who sent out our Zoom links to the teachers. So I was really happy to see that tradition, not get beaten down by COVID. So, and we've had kids, we do a Zoom with them, and then after school, parents are in, like, they had to bring them to the library because they said they need to sign up for summer reading and pick up books. So, and that's always my favorite week of the year. So it's nice to see them back in the trenches with us. And Christy, Felicia, and I, we presented at the Massachusetts Library's annual conference in May, which was virtual this year. We did a presentation on, and I should say, Christy and Felicia really stole the show. I just kind of opened it up, the discussion, but we did a presentation on how Readers Advisory has changed in the post-pandemic world, since so much of our interaction was in person with the kids themselves. And so we talked about how we, the word of the year, pivot, how we pivoted, and we, we're doing things with our book bundles and, talking to the parents and kind of navigating how we usually do that. So it's nice now that we can maintain like our read next and what we've been doing, but seeing their faces and still get to do that face to face. So it was a really interesting discussion, and a lot of librarians asked us questions. So I'm just really happy that we were able to do that and encourage my fellow librarians to, if they have an idea, program that they really enjoyed, they want to share the news. I think it's a really good experience.
Thank
So
you.
those are my highlights.
Any questions or comments on the director's report? And the chiller, the chiller repair will be through the summer with the unit added on and so yeah.
Yeah, so that the long-term fix was it was like an 8 or 12 week lead time on a part, and so we have the temporary chiller to get us through, so that way it's not as much of a stress.
Right.
I assume the part is not as big as the chiller.
Oh, I bet the part is like this big, right? Because I should say, yes, the chiller, I mean, it takes up 7 parking spaces.
It's huge. It's huge if you haven't seen it. It's
Yeah.
very large.
So, and I was like, it's taking up
Like
parking spaces, but school library or parking spaces. So we chose.
And my thanks to Abby, because the first time that the chiller went down was, of course, the week that Lizzie was on vacation. But thank you, Abby, for managing that situation until Lizzie could return. Murphy's Law, right? Any further questions or comments on the director's report? Mary?
Question, Lizzie, you had a note that the Friends of, and it's great to see all the progress with the new Wentworth Hall. You had a note that the Friends of the Library have reached out to collaborate on sponsoring an opening celebration. Any color on what it is they have in mind, as that might affect?
No, I not at all. I think they had reached out to Claire and separately myself, just in passing of let us know if we're going to do something. They're happy to, sponsor it if it's balloons or a cake or things like that. So, and Claire and I were just talking earlier about what that would look like. So we don't have anything set in mind, but they did have reached out. They're on the back burner for if we have any ideas, which is nice.
Okay. Any further comments? Well, the next item is a staffing update. Yes.
Mary Beth has her hand up.
Oh, Mary Beth, I'm sorry. Yes, Mary Beth, I didn't see it. Yes, Mary Beth.
I'm sorry, my internet has been unstable, so I apologize. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the 21st Century Foundation is included in those conversations, Lizzie,
yes.
about the opening celebration. So, because it really does matter also to the foundation. But I also had a question, and I think this is just a communication issue, probably with trustees. But like for an issue as large as the chiller go down and there being like no air conditioning in the building, which obviously, you know, created an issue of the building having to close and that kind of thing. How would we as trustees know about that in a contemporaneous situation, like, you
Well,
know, like timing?
It's difficult because of the constrictions of the open meeting law. So, when it first happened, Lizzie was on vacation. And so as they reached out to me as chair and Chris, and I was just making sure that they were working on a solution. Ordinarily, I think the
Right.
communication would be Lizzie could talk to the trustees and just let them know, so that there's not any kind of serial communication.
Mhm.
But that was part of the problem.
The only reason why I bring it up is because when we are approached by
Yeah.
other people in town and then we don't know about something significant like that, you know, that's my
Yeah.
only, you know,
Yeah,
and,
no, and I
I'm
think Lizzie-
significant enough, for instance,
Yeah.
to close the library early.
Right.
You know, but I understand, obviously, Lizzie was out and then the whole thing, you know, thing
Yeah.
gets
In the future, I would
changed, so,
ask.
okay,
have
thank you.
Lizzie do that communication, because I'm as I said, and we've talked about it, you know, there's the open meeting law, there's only so much communication that we can have amongst ourselves without an open meeting. But Lizzie, would you make
Yeah.
sure that in the future, when something
So
like
I
this happens?
can do like even if I talk to you on the phone about something, I can then send an email, like a heads up to the trustees. That's okay, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Check. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miranda.
Thank you, trustee persons, for bringing that up. Okay, staffing update, Lizzie, and we have Suzie with us. So I'll let you do the staffing update.
Yes, Suzie was featured in my staffing update last meeting or the meeting, May 10th meeting, as our new part-time reference librarian. I've worked closely with Suzie for many years, and it's been a joy to watch her grow and learn so much. I was already bragging earlier today about you, Suzie, of learning all this software and technology in school and immediately getting to show us how to use it at the library, like LibGuides. But I've got to work with her and really see all of her creativity and her passion and her dedication, and best customer service, I would probably say, hands down. Doesn't get flapped by any request that someone's going to throw at her. And it's tough in the children's department. It is. You have all ages coming at you. So when Suzie started working upstairs and got a taste for it, I know with her business background and all of her great ideas for intergenerational program. We were already coaching her for adult programs when she worked in children's. Claire, you can attest to that, as getting her to do using her background in gardening and just so great with people. So I know Abby was overjoyed that Suzie applied for this more permanent position upstairs, that we get to really use all of her talents and skills. And already, you know, summer reading, there's so much color and there's so much great activity. So I'll let Suzie, if you want to say anything about what you're excited most about on the second floor.
Well,
You're gonna say that's because now I'm on the second floor with you.
thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. It's a new experience for me. I am really excited to move towards adult programming. As Lizzie said in the past, we've done some adaptive programming that started as children's and we changed it. We've done programming, start your own terrarium at the senior center years ago, and all sorts of really fun stuff. I think that the vision that I saw when I came upstairs, it's a beautiful space. I think what I was really excited to do is try to add some color, some more communal socialization up there, just to make it more, probably because of the things that I learned while I was working in the children's room, I kind of wanted to move a little bit of that upstairs. And I've been there for about a month. It's been great. I've met wonderful people up there, and it's nice to change up my skill set a little bit to a little bit of a different demographic of Westwood that I'm used to. And I'm really excited to go forward. We've started the adult summer reading program. I named it, Abby liked it, Between the Covers. I don't know how naughty that is or not, but we thought it would be fun. I just made a lip
Awesome.
guide. Yeah, I hope you like
There's
it.
a book. There's a book right there.
I just put up a lib guide too for an adult summer reading list. I thought that that would be an interesting addition so that people who really just want to have a fun book read or just want to grab a book, they have it now in front of them. There's also a printed out list just to grab and go. And I've designed the baskets downstairs. You might have noticed them. There's a cooking outside kind of like foodie basket. There's a spa basket. There's of course a gardening basket because I had to add that, of course. And another couple that had the theme of kind of healing and moving forward together. And I thought that was important to really inspire up there with the new programming and things like that we have planned. I do have I kind of pulled in my husband to do a floral arranging from my previous career. So he's going to be doing an online flower arranging program on Thursday night, which I'm very excited about. That should be a lot of fun, and I will be his assistant. So hopefully we can do more of things of that nature, about healing and growing and kind of moving forward in a positive manner.
And I will say that Suzie, as part of one of her courses, she had to write a LSTA grant, and she used a real grant. There's one that's called Dig In, and it's all about gardening. And it was something that we had considered putting in this year. Obviously, we were in a lot of transition, so that didn't go through, but this grant is already written, it's waiting there, and part of it is really redoing. And Susie's also in charge of our children's garden. Every year she weeds that and replants new things and has vegetables in there. So you've got a lot to offer, and we can't wait to use it all. And I'm very excited about, because even your Thursday night program, I will say, it's not just you guys are getting the flowers coordinated so that the first, I think 20, was it, participants could
25.
pick 25 could actually are getting all the flowers. They're going to pick up their kit of fresh flowers so that from Zoom they can actually do the flower arranging with Suzie and Ricky. So just phenomenal.
Great.
Welcome, Suzie, and we look forward to your energy and your enthusiasm, your creativity, and anything that we can do to help. Please let us know. Does anybody have any questions for Suzie?
Sounds wonderful.
Yes, sounds great.
Yeah, it's outstanding, Suzie. Like what incredible contributions already. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And the next item on the agenda is the COVID-19 update, and we have Joan Murray primarily for that. She did help us on holiday stuff, but Joan?
Yes,
Lizzie,
I'm
why don't you
happy to
update us?
see you all and give you what may be my last COVID update. I don't know. With any luck. So as you know, Governor Baker declared, the restrictions, the COVID-19 restrictions that have been impacting our workplaces. He lifted those effective May 29th. In the town, we decided to open up, given the Memorial Day holiday, we decided that Tuesday, June 1st was the day that we would officially unlock the town buildings that had remained, by appointment only for our residents. And just as a, just a reminder, staff has been working throughout the pandemic in the town buildings. We just, had appointments in the lobbies and things like that. But here's what it means for employees, for face coverings. Employees who are fully vaccinated 2 weeks post their second vaccine or 2 weeks post the J&J vaccine are no longer required to wear face coverings. If they wish to, they can, and we want to encourage everyone to do so if that makes them more comfortable. Any team members who are not fully vaccinated are encouraged to wear face coverings still, although we can't force them to do that. and nor can we or will we require them to prove their vaccine status to us, their vaccination status. We have ceased the practice of having employees sign in and attest to their health every day, and so all those restrictions have been lifted. For visitors, we have signs posted on all town buildings saying that the CDC strongly suggests people who are not vaccinated to wear face masks. We can't legislate it. We're not legislating it. And nor are we doing contact tracing anymore for people entering the town building. So it's feeling a lot more normal now than it used to. Social distancing. He has removed the mandate to maintain 6 feet of social distance between workstations and people in a any kind of office setting. We have made the decision that we will maintain any barriers that we kind of created, plexiglass barriers. Those we're keeping for the time being, just because it makes sense to. The business can be done perfectly effectively. I think people feel a measure of comfort from those. And then sanitizing and hand washing. We're keeping all our hand washing stations all over the place, because that's just never a bad idea to have that available. And we're encouraging frequent hand washing as much as possible. We have discontinued the practice of multiple times a day sanitizing in our public buildings. We're going back to our regular cleaning schedule. The buildings are all sanitized every night or early morning. And so, yeah, it's sort of, business as usual for most buildings. I do know that there are some constraints in the library, of course, due to furniture being stored in the conference rooms and things like that. So I think that Lizzie has already talked to you about some of the plans for programming and, when conference rooms will become available and things like that. But I think those are separate from COVID issues. Those have everything to do with the Wentworth Hall project when you folks will be moved in there. So I think it's been a great team effort on the part of everyone in town. And particularly, Lizzie and I have had almost daily conversations about COVID and Fisher before Lizzie. So I thank you all for, working with us to ensure the safety of our employees, the safety of our residents. And honestly, I'm pretty thrilled with the very low incidence of COVID that we've experienced in our employee group. I think it's because everyone really leaned in and pitched in and cooperated with the governor's guidelines. So, but I'm delighted to come to your trustees meetings, and I, will come as an observer. But I don't think I will. I hope, God willing, will not have any more updates. So watch these variants. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
The COVID queen?
I think I've been demoted. I'm just a COVID now.
Well, first of all, Joan, we appreciate you. I think you've been updating us since the fall and coming to our meetings regularly, and we appreciate that. And my thanks to you also for coordinating the town's response and success.
Yes.
And hopefully we won't have to have any more updates. Lizzie, anything you want to add from the library perspective before I open up questions or comments?
No, I think that Joan covered it. I think, we left it up to staff whether they want to, wear masks or not. And I think this is just my own observation. I think the 2 weeks of no AC in the building really pushed a lot of staff that, are fully vaccinated from, getting, I know some people, it's like a mental block of like, should I wear my mask or not? And most staff have them nearby. And so we're if, a patron is wearing a mask, we put it on before we go over and, interact with them, just as a way to be respectful of people's comfort level. And I think we agree with, I like that there's still the plexiglass up. It's an extra measure that there's no use to not having it. But I think that returning to normal, it feels really good. I think that we were safe, we followed the guidelines, and I think the reward, if I want to speak to, I don't want to say that, I don't want to tempt fate, but I think the reward is that we can do this now. And without these steps. So in terms of, we are putting our chairs back out. All the tables have chairs again. The gallery is open. Part of the conference rooms and the meeting rooms, I know people are very excited, town groups are excited to book them. We are getting the LibCal, which is what we're going to use for booking the rooms. Abby and I are working on that this week to make sure that it's bookable starting in September, just because we do have some furniture from Wentworth Hall that we want to put in there. We have book donations from the friends groups that that we need to sort through and figure out a place for. So there's just some logistical things that have not to do with COVID that we want to give ourselves the next couple of months to make sure that we're thoughtful in how we, you know, reevaluate our space, our public space for patrons.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the trustees?
Great job.
Mary Beth?
Thank you. And Lizzie, again,
Paul?
the staff.
Paul,
Yeah.
Mary Beth's got
Yeah.
a hand up.
Yeah, I can't see. I don't have everybody. Yes, Mary Beth.
Oh, okay. So are we no longer, we're not using any kind of sign-in process for
No.
anything?
No.
Okay, so how does this impact teams in the library? Or, what my other question, do you know if there's any plans to do the study nights for finals? I don't even know where high school is right now as far as dates and.
The high
and all
school's
that
not
stuff,
having
so.
finals. The high
Yeah.
school's not having finals.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there you go.
Last day of school is
They're
Wednesday.
done on Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah.
Did we make that decision that they don't have to have finals?
I hope so.
I'm gonna get a shirt. Let them eat cake.
I
That's
do
certainly-
like, I was gonna.
That's certainly not in Article 4 of the charter.
Okay, so that answers that question. But I guess my question is, anticipating if we have this flood of teens coming in and whether or not they are masked or not masked, and our other patrons, especially with the idea of, I don't know if teens are able to get vaccinated yet. I'm not sure. I'm not really following that too closely. The younger
enough.
teens.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering what's going on with that.
We did not put any restrictions. Basically, we follow the governor's guidelines. So if you are unvaccinated, you're encouraged to wear it. But as Joan, wear masks. But as Joan said, we're not policing that, or we're asking for identification. So there was a little initial questioning, I think, from some staff, just, oh, what if we have 30 middle schoolers come in and it's a public library? And we have not. I think that the summer, it's our busiest times for that flood of coming down from the middle school are during the school year. And so I feel like the way the timing worked out, where we reopened,
Yes.
people are just starting to gather, that a lot of people go away for the summer or they come in with their families. In the fall is when that, I kind of hope that tradition will come back, where they're, come back to the library after school. But yeah, I didn't feel comfortable putting separate restrictions on certain age groups and how to support that. So we have not, and we have not seen, I don't think I've seen any middle schoolers, rather than a couple that might be sitting and, studying, but mostly high school and college kids I've seen using the library.
I would agree with you on the separate restrictions. I was just wondering if there had been any feedback from perhaps older patrons that are using the library, or, so
I
anyway.
have not yet, but
Okay.
no, I totally get where you're thinking, because that was what was coming through my mind. But
Okay, thank you.
Good point.
Any further questions, comments? Again, Lizzie, to the staff and to the staff members that are on the meeting with us, you did incredible work. You were a model for other libraries, and you should be very proud of the service that you rendered since March of last year.
I just wanted to say, Joan, I hope that you'll still call me every day, even if it's not.
We need to find things to talk about, Lizzie.
And Joan, our meetings are open to the public. You're welcome anytime.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, if I may, that between the frequent COVID communication and all of the recruiting that we've been doing, including for our library director, I got to get back. I just got to get to the library more often than I do. As a resident, I'm excited. I want to go to Susie's program. I can't wait for the bridge. I just am like, this is a great spot. I think I haven't been using it enough since my kids were younger. I was like, I'm going back.
Something for everybody.
Okay, Nate.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
The
Great summer,
next
everyone.
item
You
on the
too.
agenda is Wentworth Hall, Islington Branch Library update, and I see Claire is with us tonight. And Claire, we don't say it enough, but we're very lucky also to have someone like you who's been dedicated to the branch for so many years and made it such a great branch. And we know that you're going to take full advantage of the opportunity that's presented now with the new branch. And so we look forward to your continued service, and thank you.
Thank you.
So Claire, is Claire going to do the presentation, Lizzie?
Yeah, Claire, do you have your PowerPoint? I just was speaking to
Yeah.
her earlier that she had a PowerPoint. She was like, what?
Go ahead, Claire.
So it's pretty much ready to go. They have, I think, Lizzie, you put in the report, all the flooring is done. The base work was going to be done last week. The elevator, it's just about ready to go. We have not ordered furniture yet, so that's what's going to probably be the holdup, because the furniture company gave us, I think, the last time we talked to them, a 13-week.
Lead time.
And that may have changed. Yeah, we'll have to call her again and ask, but we haven't gotten the go-ahead to order the furniture yet.
Who gives you the go-ahead to go? Do the trustees or
Yeah.
the town?
The town.
Yeah.
So I take it Youth and Family Services is in the same
Mhm.
ballpark?
They are, yes.
Do
Yeah.
we know when that's expected to move forward?
I think any day.
Yeah.
Somebody, somebody,
Do you have their hand up?
I can't say, no.
No. I think is there still a walkthrough scheduled? We're hoping that we get to see it now that it's basically finished. We went into, last time I was in there, I think it was just starting to be painted. So if we can do a walkthrough next Monday is the plan, then Claire and I will get to see the space and really envision where we want furniture and, you know, what it will look like and what we can add to it. Cause I think there's a lot of great pieces that we kept from the branch. So I know that, Claire, do you want to tell them about what is the calligraphy that we reached out for? I don't remember where that was exactly in the old library.
It was behind the circ desk. It was the history of the building. And Nancy Sullivan's daughter had done a calligraphy on, you know, the whole backstory of the branch, and it needed touch up, needed to be,
Dated a little bit.
the sign on the building needed to be touched up, and all the wording needed to be touched up. So I dropped it off at a house in High Park, and the woman's already has it done, but it needs to be reframed. So we'll get that. We haven't really decided on the signs yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the next things we have to work. I've done a lot of ordering, and the tech services has done a lot of cataloging, getting the books ready to go. So
It'll be a great opening day collection.
it'll be a nice opening day collection. I know every once in a while someone says, "Can I take that book?" And I'm like,
No.
nope, hands off. But it's nice. It's going to be nice inside. When you get in, it's nice. It's going to be a little different. The room is closed off. Where the children's room is kind of a big study room with 3 computers. It's like a work area.
Yeah.
But it's closed off, and then the children's room will be on the other side of the library. It's going to be a little different, but it'll be nice. It'd be nice to be with Youth and Family Services and to have the rec department in there. Great. You have your hand up, Mayor Beth?
Claire,
Yes.
yes, thank you. And we had talked about this, I think Tricia had brought this to our attention in a meeting sometime last year about the outside sign. Is that what you were just talking about? That sign too being redone? Because now it's going to say Wentworth Hall, right?
We have the old signs in the conference room, and we can have that renovated. And one of them, the one that was in the front of the library said Islington Branch Library, but there was one inside that said Wentworth Hall, Islington Branch Library. I don't know. We have a meeting tomorrow morning. I don't know what the plan is for signage. We haven't really gotten that far with the town.
Mhm.
We've asked Jimmy about it and I guess he had trouble. He had a sign company, but I don't think he's able to use them right now or.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity. for-
Refresh my memory. Is it the same? Are there different entrances? Is Youth and Family Service a different entrance than the
There's
like into the main building?
there's a entrance from Washington Street, which goes right into the
Yep.
library. And then
Okay.
on the side between, there's a lobby and you go in there and that's where there's handicap door. If you go left, you go into
Mhm.
Youth and Family Services, and if you go right, you go into the library. And there'll be a book drop there from the outside also, but that's in the parking lot. That's in kind of across from the CVS.
Because I was wondering if for some reason it could be used in that, in that area inside and like the vestibule, if we can't use some, if something outside isn't done, but it would be nice to have that Islington branch library.
Well, especially on the front where it is.
There you're
You
muted.
know what I
Are
mean?
you
Where-
talking? Right.
Yeah, we're hoping we can get it fixed up. One of them is kind of warped, which I don't know that would work, but they could take it and work off of it.
Yeah.
In
something
the,
similar.
one of the men measured it and he's pretty sure it'll fit up there, so.
I guess who is making that decision though? I mean, is that something we should be strongly behind? Is
I
that
don't
something
know if
is that like being made by DPW or is that being made by the town, higher ups?
I don't know. I don't know if it's Nora.
Yeah.
No,
Mary Beth, do you mean the decision about what the sign will say or
Yeah.
how the signs are? Wasn't there
No, what the
discussion?
sign-
Right. Wasn't there discussion when we were talking about, we had to put that information forward for the community plan? And weren't we careful about our wording in that for this purpose? Am I not remembering that correctly?
No, you're
yeah.
correct,
No,
Maureen.
you're right.
So would we be looking to that to, foster what we'd like to have happen with the signs?
Well, I think that stated our
Yeah.
our
So-
our intention or our what we would prefer, our preference. However, I don't know that that's necessarily going to convert to a physical
Well, I
to the
can't
physical
answer
building.
that.
Like I said,
Right.
I just don't know who makes that sign. I don't know who does that. Paul, do you have any input?
Can't hear you,
What-
Paul.
Claire indicated that you're gonna be talking to them about the signage this week or tomorrow, is that what?
No, we have a meeting
No.
tomorrow. We don't have any, the
Oh.
signage is not on the agenda, no.
Oh.
We've talked to Jimmy about it several times, but I think that's not, when we talked to him, there were other things that were more important that had to get done.
Yeah, I don't have any, I don't have any insight into it other than, we obviously, if we can rehabilitate the sign that says Islington branch, it sounds like that's what we would like to do. And there's nothing that would preclude some signage inside from identifying as Wentworth Hall, or it could say Wentworth Hall, Islington branch library, right? I guess the question is, do we renovate the signage the existing signage? Can we make it usable, or do we get new signage? Is that sort of where we are?
Yeah, I mean, Claire's right. It's a little, because it's wood and it's like busted open a little bit, almost at the seams. I don't know anybody that could, but I think to Claire's suggestion that because it's identifiable, if we could get something that's similar, that maybe fits Wentworth Hall over, but still has the font and the look of what it was to match.
Yeah.
I think it might be easier to get something new that matches it than trying to fix the wooden one that looks like it's not rotted, but
So then
it doesn't look great. It's not great once.
Can I make a suggestion then? You have a meeting tomorrow and it sounds like you have raised signage and it's just, I can understand it's not necessarily the top priority, but could you both please raise it again at the meeting? And if you feel that intervention is necessary to make it something that we should get involved in, to
Okay.
let us know.
And I would
Yes,
just add,
Masi-Phelps, Trustee
ahead.
Masi-Phelps, yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
can I just add that I know I was approached by a resident several years ago about the sign in particular because it was in poor shape. And the resident felt it reflected, the sign really meant something.
Mhm.
Right.
And the fact that it was in disrepair didn't reflect well on the town. So the sense I'm getting from the other trustees and what my takeaway was, I think there's meaning in the sign, but on the other hand, it's a new building, and I'm reminded of the tale of patching old jeans with a new cloth or whatever. It may not be practical to rehabilitate the sign itself, but if there is something visual that can be captured that's evocative of the old building, I think that would certainly be a positive thing.
Okay.
I would agree, Mary.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
keep the style of it to honor that, but
Yeah.
given that it's New England, we might
Yeah.
want to start fresh with materials.
So,
Well,
will you-
they're going to want to,
The US Constitution that's floating in Boston Harbor is largely made of replacement parts.
Yes.
right. They're
As
also
all
going to
of us
want to
may.
match it with the
Yeah.
with the signage for the Youth and Family Services. So,
Oh,
but
that's
at the
true.
same time, I'm anticipating, especially speaking from someone who has had this experience before, I'm anticipating that the right language that we use, Islington branch, is going to mean something to some
Yes.
people,
I agree.
and I think
Yeah.
if that were to go away, I don't know, I think that would be hard.
Yeah.
So that's, I think if it were just erased and now it's just called Wentworth Hall on the outside, I think that
Yeah.
might be not the preference for a lot of people.
Right, Islington Branch Library, Wentworth Hall, something like that, but please, tomorrow, just raise it at the meeting and just let us know. And let them know that it's important. My sense here is that it's important to the board, to the trustees, what the signage is. I know some people think signage is signage, but it does matter.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Anything else on Islington? No, was that somebody? Okay. Yeah, I know it can be a dog's world, but the Friends update, Jessica and Maureen, anything?
Well, as Lizzie said in her report, the annual meeting was quite successful. Although while it was virtual, there was still a lot of participation. And Jane Healy did a nice job, nice presentation. And not only were there a lot of participants, but they really participated with question asking and so forth. So that was nice. And the next meeting is scheduled for September 13th, their next meeting. The only other thing that they did that night had to do with some, election of officers, which stayed exactly the same as it was for the last year. So that's about all I have to report. Jessica, do you have anything
Jessica,
to
do you have
add?
any-
The one thing I was thinking is, I'm not on mute, am I? Is
No.
that they talk about the meeting being on September 13th. They're also talking about going to evening meetings. And I know we have a
Yes.
meeting
Oh,
that
that's
same
right.
night. So that should be
I
interesting.
did note that, yeah. So we might want to let them know that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, would you please communicate that to them, Lizzie?
Yes,
Yes, I can do that.
Maureen?
because Lizzie can't be in two places at once.
And they might want to
Be
meet
at the
at the,
in-person meeting and I could be on Zoom. Hold on.
and they might want to meet at the branch library.
Oh, that's right.
Bring your own chair.
Feedback there for everybody.
Any
Maybe they
questions?
can have it. Maybe they can have a book sale there too with all that space.
Right. That's about it.
Any questions on the Friends or comments? Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Maureen. 21st Century Fund update, Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. The fund did meet tonight and actually conducted a lot of business in a half an hour. And thank you for your patience in us running over a little bit, just a couple minutes there and being late for this meeting. Let's see, we did award a grant to a staff member for some ongoing development in a master's program that she's in. So that was very nice. It's been quite some time since we've had a grant request, so that was nice. Lizzie also briefed the fund on a potential grant request related to the Islington branch to deal with technology, and I think we're waiting for more more specifics as that comes to fruition. So hopefully, and I know we've talked quite a bit in the past as to whether there was a more significant way the fund could contribute to Islington, and it looks like a technology upgrade. I don't know how much you want to say about it right now, Lizzie, or if you want to wait, but that looks like it might be coming up.
Yeah, I just was going to reference, because Claire was just talking about the space, although it's the same footprint, it's designed slightly differently. So for first, she forgot to mention Claire has her own office now, which she never had before, which will be nice. But where, if you remember in the way the old branch was, the children's area was almost like, I think there used to be a stage there in one iteration of the building. And so it's like a little alcove, and we just had it kind of sectioned off with books before. And when they recreated the building, when they moved it over, that space they fleshed out with walls. And so it will have, it is its own room with, a glass door. There was conversations whether or not that would be bookable as a whole, but we thought it would be better served as, something like a small business center, so that there'll be more public. The old library just had one public PC. So we would have computers in that room, scanning, faxing, printers, as well as table, 2 tables and chairs so that people can be working in there, maybe doing remote work there. So especially as a lot of places go back to that hybrid or keep a hybrid schedule, this might be an option for someone to work from home for an hour or two, especially with the new apartments on that side of town. There might be a big, uptick to walk across the street and go into your local library and have that section. So I think the request Claire and I were thinking was to really make that something, special for, and upgrade it. That's sort of technology that the branch couldn't really configure in the space that we had before. So I think it's a really great opportunity to make the branch a 21st century library.
Yeah. Ooh. Love it,
you guys.
Top of the 21st Century Fund.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lizzie. Yeah. So some other things. The fund also discussed the Poet Laureate initiative, which Tricia had brought up, and the fund was approached to consider funding. And I think the idea, Mary Beth has been speaking with Chris Coleman about this, but the idea is that if we got the Poet Laureate initiative off for the first couple of years without taxpayer funding, that then potentially it might be absorbed in the town's the library's budget. So the fund is interested in supporting this. We felt that for one thing, we would be prepared to invest, say, $500 a year for a couple of years, and to make the program more on par with some of the other programs that we've seen. We thought it might make sense to reach out to see if we can. There might be another organization in town that would be willing to fund it. Maria, one thing that came in mind was potentially the Westwood Cultural Council. So
I was just going to say, yeah,
maybe that's something we
absolutely.
should talk about, how to look at that. Where you get another organization's name out there, that would also demonstrate to the select board added support from the community. If there was potentially more than one organization willing to sponsor it, to get it off the ground.
Sure.
But the real question is that the fund can't really answer is, well, who's going to own the program? Who's going to define it and administer it? And so we wanted to, bring that to, Lizzie, I don't know if you have any initial thoughts that you wanted to share with the trustees, just in terms of how might this work logistically, bandwidth wise.
Right.
There's going to have to be some governance in place.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's something that I want to review. I know we have a lot of information shared from other communities, And I do recall that although some of them are functioned through the library, some of them have their own like arts and culture, you know, in town that really take it on. So I do think it makes sense in the library, but realistically are we going to be reviewing, are we going to be getting board members to be reviewing applications and especially things like the requirements of what that would be and making sure. So I think it's a big task, honestly, and I think it's worthy. So I'm not saying it's not, but I do want to do a little bit more thinking on it of how that would look if it's going to end up being solely, you know, organized by the library. If that makes sense.
I don't know, Marie, I'm curious, you know, how does this idea compare to other things that the Westwood Cultural Council funds? And, you know, do you have any thoughts?
Well, yes. First of all, then a grant needs to be filled out. So perhaps it's, say, for instance, Lynn Beatty, if she could write a grant to apply for being the Westwood Town poet. And then once that's filled in, I can tell you that as a cultural council member, we're very, very interested in funding anything for the schools, the library, the senior center. We love to keep the grants within the town of Westwood for the people of the town. And then other grants are written and come in, and there's everything from bird walks to juggling and you name it. But we really try to fund, for instance, one of the things, because of COVID, money was delayed, but we gave money to the high school for their play that they just had. We funded the arts in Bloom. So those are the kinds of things. But all you have to really, anybody can write a grant. And I was speaking to Lizzie about this just today, saying encourage the librarians to come up with ideas that they would like. And Abby already had a great idea. So I'm very excited about people writing the grants to benefit our library, the people in our town, in the library and elsewhere. So I guess maybe somebody, or maybe one of us or a couple of us could pool our ideas and kind of come up with a grant. Maybe I could do something with Nancy Donahue. We're trying to come up in the fall about trying to get the Cultural Council more publicity. And we're going to try to come up with some idea of promoting interest in it so that more people will apply. So that's on the, that's something that we're going to be working on hopefully over the summer.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee
So,
Ryan.
Lizzie, I guess in your conversation, with Chris Coleman and so on, and looking into this more, I think one thing we'd want to ensure is that if this is going to be a town poet laureate, there has to be, the select board or someone that there has to be some kind of governance there, and some kind of structure about who determines, you can only really have one poet laureate.
Right.
So there does need to be some sort of process there. And I think that would be helpful. The fund is looking, so the fund can provide money, but.
But where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
No, but yeah, well taken. This definitely needs some work. Paul, just one other thing I wanted to mention. Mary Beth, did you want to bring up any question about potentially an event or fundraising related for the trustees?
Oh,
Yeah. The Century Foundation is. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're a little bit choppy right now. Maybe you want me to. Maybe I'll
apologize.
put it out.
My internet has been awful tonight. The 21st Century Foundation has this money in order to retain its 501c3 designation. And it's also our purpose to raise money to, keep the library, its long-term viability and enhance what it can do and keep it in wonderful shape, et cetera. But so we are always considering different ways in which we can do that. Obviously, annual appeals, after our initial pledge program that we had,
We've only really used annual appeals after that. But there are other ways, and there's several ways that you can do it. You can have naming opportunities, you can have brick programs, you can have events, you can have, you can have a lot of different things. So obviously with building the new branch, we did pursue the idea of possibly something like a brick program, but we weren't able to do that with the way that the building was already set in stone, if you will. One of the other ideas is sometimes you have a lot of libraries that had private pre-opening events, and where you put out invitations, and you would invite people to obviously see the new building, see the new space, and obviously ask them for a donation in order to be able to attend, but you would also provide some other, you'd probably provide some other thing kind of attract them as well as just seeing the space. So that is one idea. I don't know. I mean, we'd have to make sure it was obviously okay with, the town, the legal people, everything else. We'd have to make it available to everyone. I don't know that I would feel comfortable with being just an exclusive kind of invitation. We could obviously we'd have to set a limit given its capacity and all that. But I don't know how people feel about something like that.
Is it the sense of the board? Would anybody on the board have any objection if the 21st Century Foundation wanted to use the opening or the reopening of the Islington branch as an opportunity to do some sort of fundraising? I guess that's the first question. We would obviously want the trustees to be okay with the concept.
I mean, it would definitely be a pre-opening. It wouldn't interfere at all with an opening of the building.
Right.
We could still have an opening reception of the building. But if we wanted to do a pre-opening, for lack of a better word. The impetus of the event would be to tie it to the reopening. Yeah, it wouldn't be the reopening. Is the sense of the board that that's something that they would be in favor of?
I guess I probably would. Maybe it was because Mary Beth was cutting out a little bit. And
Yeah.
I know that you, Paul, and Mary both were part of the discussion at your prior meeting. So to try to clarify, we're talking about having perhaps an event, a pre-opening event that would be by invitation, and that people would make a donation to come to that pre-opening.
Yeah, I think Maureen, we did not have an extensive discussion.
Okay.
And we were running a little short on time, but by that point. The idea, and Mary Beth, feel free to jump in if
I'm sorry, it was just because I couldn't hear everything that you said that I wasn't getting the.
Right. Yeah. There wasn't an extensive conversation, but the idea would be, it would be before the Islington branch is open. So we're not interfering at all with, access once the branch is open. But it would be beforehand. It would be, and I think I heard Mary Beth say that you'd want to open it up so that anyone who wanted could attend. But there would have to be some limits simply due to capacity. So the idea would be that, you get to see the space early. Maybe there'd be some sort of attraction, some sort of something celebratory related to it. Hasn't been at all defined yet. We'd need to make sure that was an appropriate and allowed use of the space, of town space like that.
Okay.
And, maybe there, I don't know if there'd be entertainment, if we get a speaker or, something like that. But it hasn't at all been defined. We wanted to get a sense of the board.
Right.
Another possibility would be, do we look into something to do with naming, which is a little bit different because the naming that was done with the main facility was associated with funding the project.
Uh-huh.
Whereas, where the fund was making a substantial donation toward the project.
Right.
In this case, and we need to be a little bit careful. We need to be a little careful about how we did this and how it came off. The project is funded, the building is largely funded by the Islington project.
Yes.
So it's not like we can,
I get you. Yeah.
yeah. So, possibly something to do with the, what we might do for the business center, or if there are
Right.
other things that, we might donate to be added
Sure.
to the
Yeah.
center. Mary Beth, hopefully I didn't misrepresent anything there.
Yeah. Did
So
you
that
want,
was helpful.
Trustee Ryan, did you want to say something?
Yes, I was just going to say that perhaps you could have a staggered meeting and that will control numbers. For
Mhm.
instance, you could say it's from 1 to 5, but maybe even a sign up 1 to 2, 2 to 3. That's just a possibility that you get more people, but it's not overwhelming.
Right.
So there's obviously, as both Mary Beth and Mary said, we need to approach the town and make sure that, we
Can even do that.
are able to do this, but we
Yeah.
wouldn't want to, we wouldn't even want to take that step unless we felt that the trustees were okay with the idea of exploring such a possibility. Trustee
Yeah, because
Cole? Yeah. go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just have a couple of concerns. I think it's a good idea. I like the idea of a pre-event
Mhm.
before a pre-opening, sorry. My concern is they're going to open up in September. So are you looking at August when a lot of people are out of town on vacation? Maybe you're not looking for a lot of people. Or are you thinking right after Labor Day have something, because maybe it's a mid-September opening. I don't even know if they have a set date for when it will be opening.
Yeah.
no,
And then are you looking for a day event, an evening event? I know that parking lot's very small. Parking in Islington has always been a huge issue. So you'd have to, I know it sounds silly, but parking is one of those things. It always
Right.
comes
Yeah.
back to parking.
Yeah, that's true.
yes, I would, in my mind, I would be envisioning like 2 days before the library were expected to
Got it.
open.
Okay.
And then having an evening event for like, an hour and a half, like
Because it's
something
quiet over there in
short.
the evening, quiet in the evening. So that would be a
Right.
good time to do it.
Right, something, something relatively brief, but just something that, if and I don't know, I mean, I don't know what the capacity of that building is.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's 150 down in the basement.
Okay,
Just saying,
See if I
Right.
can.
nice size party.
yeah, so, I mean, and these are the kinds of things, because we'd have
Right.
to kind of decide, like, obviously, if we wanted if we
Wine
wanted
bar?
a certain amount of a donation, then,
Yeah.
is it worth it to, whatever, to do it for,
Yeah.
and what, do we think people would actually want to come?
Yeah.
I guess what we're looking for tonight is would us trustees okay with us pursuing the concept?
Investigating it and pursue. Yeah.
I agree. I think
Yes.
looking into it is a great idea.
Looking into it. But
Yeah. And where it involves a donation, I believe I heard Mary Beth say that you'd have to be consulting town
Yeah.
officials to figure out what's copacetic. So, yeah, sure.
mhm.
Is that that's sort of what we're looking for tonight, Mary?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, I think we need to look at the feasibility of it. And it sounds like the timing is also going to be a consideration,
Yeah.
because that's based on getting the furniture ordered and the furniture
Yeah.
being delivered and so on. So, as someone who works in marketing and is involved with event planning as part of my team's work, I can tell you that planning any sort of event right now is just fraught with
Nightmare.
uncertainty.
Yes.
So we'll I think we'll proceed cautiously and report
Yeah.
back as needed.
I just had to negotiate moving a conference from 2021 to from September 21 to June of 22. So I know it's,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Flexibility is
if
the
we-
order of the day.
If we
Mhm.
were to do it, it would have to be kind of all trustees hands on deck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because this would, obviously we're talking about, September, this is what happened the last time, and all the trustees had to get involved, like everybody had to pitch in somehow. It's like, especially because you're talking about over the summer. So this just can't fall on the shoulders of a couple people,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
Lizzie, if we're looking at 13 weeks for furniture delivery,
Yeah,
and we haven't even ordered the furniture.
yeah.
I wouldn't put it, I don't want to speak out of turn, but it wouldn't seem out of the realm of possibility to even October, maybe the
Yeah.
beginning of October. I mean, just realistically, because I also think we don't want to rush, slapping things together and then, of
Right.
course we do, we want to be open, but we want to be open functional.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
I think what I hear you saying, Mary, is that in order to plan this and have a realistic feeling that it can be pulled off, you need a firm opening date.
I
And
think we
has
order,
anybody been into a furniture store to buy furniture? They're telling you if you can find it on the floor, great. If not, you're talking 6 months to order something.
pressure treated wood. Don't
Yeah.
even try and
So it's just what
Yeah.
it is
Or a
now.
car.
Yeah. Oh, a car. Yeah.
Did
What
you
is
get your car?
No.
Did we, for the main library, this is not the same thing, but did we have a opening, like a soft opening event for, maybe it was for donors, as like a preview for people who donated to the project? I remember there being like, before we officially opened, I have a vision of well-dressed people in the gallery. As just, and I don't know it, but I don't know how much planning went into that. Obviously we were open, or no, I think we were open we opened in July. So I don't remember if that was in the summer or not. Mary
I
Beth?
remember the school librarians
Are
were
you sure you're
invited.
not remembering? You sure
School
you're not
librarians.
remembering you're not remembering the grand opening?
No, there was something, well, I mean, I do remember the grand one in September, but I think there was something
Yeah.
Similar. I mean, it
Was there a
doesn't.
nighttime thing, Mary Beth? Was there a nighttime?
What?
Was there a nighttime event for just donors?
You think I would remember this because I think, there was another event that I organized with the friend, together, Jeannie and Louise and I, and that could have been what it was.
It was,
but
we weren't
honestly,
open yet, I do think, but and if you don't remember,
Right.
that's fine. I just was thinking,
I
like, if
think-
we had any information from that, like an old document, we could at least.
Eric,
see what we did.
Eric might remember whether,
Yeah.
you know. Right.
I would just be curious to see how we pulled that off. Obviously, there was a set list of names that were already,
Yeah.
had, I think, rooms, like certain rooms in the main library that are naming opportunities, but it was, but there were all levels. So it was like anybody, I remember seeing a lot of families who had donated that got to come in and preview the library. So that's all to say is I think that clearly that's an established thing that might be of interest. Do you know what I mean? So if that helps. at
But
all.
this time around, we don't really have that same.
It would be
No.
like offering it to then come and contribute and then get it, you know what I mean, at the same
That's
time.
why I say we would have to offer something else. We would have to have another kind of, reason that would interest people to come.
Right.
Because, they may, I mean, we'd obviously have to make it aware, make it obvious that we are doing this to, for a donation for further, further support of the, to the library and further support of taking the library to new, to new levels and, but at the same time, kind of give people something for
Yeah.
it besides just walking in the door.
Right.
Even though that's a little bit weird territory because we don't generally have
Yeah.
people to pay.
Right.
Pay for something at the library, but
And
But
that's your big question for the town.
well,
Yeah.
it is, but it isn't. It is, but it's like, but this is done all the time. There are private,
Yeah.
private receptions done all the time. So it's not like, I don't think it's like against chapter and rule.
I have
No.
no
It's just a
idea.
matter of,
Yeah.
I mean, I
No,
know we
they-
can't have
like-
alcohol, I know,
Right.
whatever, but it's
it's kind of like in the day-to-day business of the library, you can't ask people to pay, for, you're trying to make
Right.
things free for
Right.
all,
Right.
So, I think just the question becomes whether or not we want to do something like this.
Thank you. Anything else, anything further on that you are looking for on that, Mary?
Nope. I think that's helpful guidance. And I think that is it for the 21st Century Fund. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda, I had asked Lizzie to put together a proposed meeting schedule for the coming year. As usual, we will be meeting on the second Monday, except in October, which is Columbus Day weekend, and there's a possibility we would do that at the Islington Library. We put that out there as a possibility.
Figured.
So I can't remember whether we always approve it, the meeting schedule, or whether it's just something we advise the members of. I can't recall. But I'm certainly not opposed to taking a motion to approve the proposed meeting schedule.
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Masi-Phelps. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Maureen Van Al. I'll call the roll. Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Van Al,
Aye.
Trustee Ryan,
Aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps,
Aye.
and Trustee Persons.
Aye.
And the chair also votes aye. So that will be our meeting schedule. As is traditional, we will not meet in July and August unless there's a necessity for it and the call, subject to the call of the chair.
May I say one
Yeah.
thing on that? If we are, again, it could be the call of the chair. We may find it necessary if we're looking at details or information about the reopening, or if we need to meet to talk about this event.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So
Or
we would-
anything else that, go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything else.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody else started to speak. I
Yeah,
think.
that's always what we do in the summer. I think there's
Okay.
only one time that I can remember that we actually had to have a meeting in the summer, but we
Okay.
do it
Yep.
if Lizzie advises me or I feel there's a need to have a meeting.
Yep.
Well, I'll have Lizzie reach out and we'll have a meeting.
Okay, and we would be doing that in person.
That was my question. Thank you,
That
Maureen.
would be, if that's what the law
Is that what he said
allows and
today?
requires, that's what we'll do.
Okay, I thought I missed Chris saying that today, that it didn't go through, so tomorrow is today's the last day to do that we can.
Right.
Okay.
But never put it past the legislature to change it tomorrow. But
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
they did that with town meetings last year. They
Right.
weren't gonna, right?
Mhm.
They kept changing the statute. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of acceptances and expenditures as set forth on the report provided by Lizzie. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at that? Any questions, comments? If not, I will accept a motion to approve the acceptances and expenditures.
Aye.
Made by Trustee Ryan. Is there a second? Seconded by
Aye.
Trustee Persons. Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Van Al,
Aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps,
Aye.
Trustee Ryan,
Aye.
Trustee Persons,
Aye.
and the chair also votes aye. So I will come by probably on Friday morning and sign that for you, Lizzie. This the usual yellow folder.
Yes, you got it.
New
miss it.
business. The only thing I would mention in new business is we have already started the process for the strategic planning. I know that we indicated to Lizzie when she became the director that was one of our top priorities.
Mhm.
And my understanding, Trustee Masi-Phelps is kind of spearheading that at the trustee level. And I think you guys you've begun some discussions on that. Is that?
Yeah. Lizzie and I had a brief discussion the other day about the overall process. And Lizzie, I think you were first going to speak to a resource.
Yes,
And,
she came
we'll
in
put
by
that.
the library on, actually the next day, on Friday. So from MLS, April Mazza. So she gave me some good directions on what our process should be. And she was delighted to hear that I had a trustee subcommittee to help. So one of the things that she advised is that if we're going to go the facilitator route, and since this is my first strategic plan, I would like to pursue that just to help us stay on track. And so one of the things might be asking Mary and Maureen to help navigate getting some names and having some questions for some of the facilitators. And and starting a process. So, you know, in the fall, we do our gathering our data. We can write it over the winter and then have it for like the spring. In a way, it just helped clear of like, okay, we can do this in chunks that suits us. And for my own self to have like an internal plan for the library of getting from A to B and I was like, yeah, so, you know, we're coming out of COVID reopening and there's so many things that I'm like, oh, should I wait for the strategic plan to do this? And she's like, you got to think of it as you can do A to B, get you to the fall, put things, you know, in motion, and then have the strategic plan as a way to investigate some things that we've already talked about that we'd like to pursue. So I'm really excited and I'm happy to get on board with Mary and Maureen in more detail. But I think the first step will be using some time this summer to get a facilitator that would be interested in helping us.
And one thing I did suggest to Lizzie, as part of the strategic planning, that we make part of that a review of our current policies on programming and library use.
Yep.
I think it's good. You know, public media, these change very quickly, the nature and scope of events and programming, and I just think it's important for us to make sure that we keep our policy reflective of the times.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, that's great. And another thing Lizzie and I talked about is that this is a good opportunity for us to look at, well, what are the values? What kinds of themes are important to include in the programming? And yeah, it goes hand in hand, given the kinds of dialogues that are happening in society these days.
Right.
What's the role of the public library in some of these things? So yeah,
absolutely.
It'll be an interesting process.
Yeah. It's a really good juncture for it right now too.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. Any other new business?
How about,
Yes, Trustee Ryan.
may I ask a question?
You certainly may. Maybe we'll be able to answer it for you.
I think you can. I did go on and did the Zooms for the new library trustees.
Yes.
And wondering, they mentioned deep dives. I was wondering if any of you could recommend any of those, or if you thought they were valuable. They said there would be some kinds of courses or programs of deep dives. And I was wondering if any of you had done them and thought they were valuable, that I should try to seek them out.
An excellent question, Trustee.
Thank you.
I can tell you from, I haven't attended any of them, but I've been getting emails from the past year from Maura. I think Maura Reedy, Maura Didi is doing them. She's the trustee friends liaison for the MLS or MBLC. And I don't know if this was new from COVID, so maybe you guys have attended them, but the deep dive sessions are almost like an open forum for other trustees and they were doing this virtually she had list of topics and just being able to be like, hey, this is what happened and encountered, kind of, I was gonna say a support group for trustees, but I'm sure that's not what they're selling it as. But not a specific training, but more of a, hey, we're gonna go into what this is, and then you can learn about the topic, but also you're with other new trustees and, you know, people who've been trustees for a while. So I can definitely give you some more information on that. I'm not sure if that's just the last 2 years. I don't know if that's something that has been around for the rest of the crew here.
Thank you.
Well, in the
Thank
past,
Suzie, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I haven't heard of the deep dive, quote unquote, but I've been on the trustees, email list forever. And there's always, which I find very, very informative, because there's always those conversations, you know, someone put those out there, you know, like, you know, hey, you know, have you guys dealt with this issue? And then people from all different libraries are you know, giving their experience, and that's very informative. It's very educating. So I would recommend that you just sign up for that.
I think I did sign up, but I'm not sure. I signed up to get emails and updates and so forth. But I just need to probably figure out what it is I want to pursue. And
Yeah,
the second thing,
I found that helpful during the search, because there's some good emails and stuff like that for trustees for the director search that we were looking at.
Resources.
Yeah.
And Mary Beth had directed me to some of that. And in fact, we did a couple of webinars. And one we went into the library and did together. I think it was Mary Beth and I that did that one. And sometimes it was, you know, because of a particular, something that we were looking at as a board and so forth. So you know,
Well, thank you. I appreciate any input
you.
you can give me.
Lizzie, will you follow up with
Yeah.
Trustee Ryan on that, please?
Yes, I'd love to.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Yeah.
Any other new business?
Just the other thing I was going to say is I
Yes.
didn't really, I was a little bit thrown when I had to tell you about myself last time. So I thought if there's any questions anybody has for me about my background, I'm happy to answer anything or give you a quick resume if you'd like. Or if there isn't, that's fine.
Well, we just did that as a way of welcome and
Yes, thank you.
to get to know you better. We've
Yeah.
obviously we've heard a lot I'd heard a lot about you, Trustee Ryan, particularly your work in the schools and on the cultural committee. But we are glad to have you joining us. And
Thank you
as
very
can
much.
see
Glad to be here.
From the fact that it was a very long meeting, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
And we appreciate, I, as the chair, always appreciate the time and effort that my colleagues put into this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other new business? No, the chair will accept a motion to adjourn with our next scheduled meeting being September 14th and
No,
subject to the call.
13th.
13th, subject to the call of the chair. Is there a motion to adjourn? Made by Trustee Persons. Is there a second? Seconded by
second.
Trustee Masi-Phelps. I'll call the roll. Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Van Au,
aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps,
Aye.
Trustee Ryan,
Aye.
Trustee Persons,
Aye.
and the chair also votes aye. And thank you very much. And Lizzie, you've had an interesting first month.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping for a quiet rest of the summer.
We are adjourned until September, subject to the call of the chair. Thank you all, and
Thank
everybody
you.
have a good night.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Great night.
Good summer. Thank you.